Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Latitude Live. I'm Alison Evans from Latitude IT, one of the co-founders of our company. And today I'm really excited to continue our International Women's Day talks with an absolute rock star in industry, Kim Heng, COO of Australian Ethical Investments. Today we're going to hear about Kim and her career and in technology and how she's cut through into that COO space. So thanks so much for joining me, Kim, and welcome to Latitude Live. How are you today?
Really well, Alison. Thank you for having me. Real pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I was looking through your profile and I've known you for a little while and I thought you can tell us all about yourself. So tell me more. Tell us about your career and a bit about you.
Yeah, okay. Look, I grew up in Redfern, where I spent the majority of my primary school years, and it was a great childhood that I really remember fondly. Life was really, really simple, and it was just really fun. But what I realised later on was that I learned a lot about diversity and people, and how people best work with each other from different backgrounds. I then went to an all-girls school, and at the time it was a technology high school. And then I moved to an engineering degree, which then was mainly male-dominated. What I really loved about doing that was the ability to problem solve and really the opportunity to lead and to have a team and work through teams to have outcomes. So that was really fantastic. Now I'm a proud mother of three, raising three kids, ranging from 9 to 20. I've got a great job, which keeps me really busy. But I always think, what else can I do, and what else can I do to challenge myself? And recently I started to do karate, and I set myself a goal.
Just to squeeze that into your day as well. That's pretty cool. I know you told me that. I thought, oh my gosh, how are you doing it all?
That's amazing. Really to keep my body and mind healthy.
Yeah,
and you know what? Definitely. It was really about doing something totally different, really pushing myself to do something new. And, being creative and it was one of my other passions. And I think that, having that creativity and bringing things into life has always been a real passion of mine, to start something with an idea and end up with some sort of project. And there's so much satisfaction when you're, working on something and you bring something to life, something that's nothing. And to be honest, that's always been very therapeutic, and it's really also a great way to de-stress. So that's a bit about myself.
That's a bit about you. Okay. Very interesting. So you touched on the studies. You chose a career path called Geomatic Engineering. So what is that? Why did you choose that? And tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Geomatic engineering is really a discipline focused on spatial information, and I majored in a thing called geographic information systems, which allows you to kind of overlay different data sets to manipulate and analyze spatial data. Even in the early 90s, data was hugely valued, and really only government organisations had the money to buy these data sets. And the concept of overlaying different data to formulate answers and hypotheses and support key decision making was really fun. Working through all of that in my career, it's given me real information for how when mentioned correctly, it go really, really well. And it's funny because I also some of the things I look back at, I did project management in uni, and back then I thought, what is this? Funny enough, I really had no comprehension of it. How it's through my career, and it made that really strong foundation. And the programming really helped me, understand software cycle and implementation and integration projects. And it was a really, really great career.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome career to step you right into that technology space. So you've always held these various technology roles. What I really would love to hear is, like, how did you cut through and get past those technology leadership roles? So you've done a lot of program management, you've done strategy, you've done operations, digital innovation. Like, the list is like really, really long. how did you go past that, tech space into the COO space? Because that's a really, that's a real challenge for a lot of women in leadership to cut out of just being siloed into tech.
Yeah, I'll share something really interesting, Alison. And back in my mid-20s, when I was starting off as an engineer, and I thought I wanted to change career, I approached the general manager of IT, and I asked him, how do I get into IT? And this was back then. And I said, how do I get into it? And he said to me, oh, what's your background? And I talked a bit about my degree and what I did. And then there was a job that I transport, which I applied for. And you know what? I didn't know how to code that language at the time. And so I bought a book. I went to a bookstore, and back then we didn't have we didn't really have stores. It were mainly bookstores, but I bought the book, learned how to code in that language, started the role, and there I went on from my technology roles. But I think that you have the mindset where you're not afraid of doing differently, and open opportunity and the shift from technology to operational role was just part of the process. I never really looked at a job description and thought, oh, here are my boundaries and my limits. But it was more about, it's been to start. And along the way, I've met some really amazing people, give me great opportunities, and I'm really thankful for it. And it's
absolutely. I think your leadership style is just so engaging, and I think you're just a natural person to be drawn into. So I'm not surprised that you've been able to elevate yourself past that. I think you're, just being humble and grounded makes a lot of difference, right? And I think, a mum of three, with your workload, I think your perception of how things should be done, and it's very you definite leadership qualities there. So that's really lovely to hear. So you've delivered some really cool things in your career. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you've implemented some of these strategies and your vision. Like, how do you go about ideating something like that and then putting that into life in an organisation?
Look, I've looking back into some of the projects and things that I've worked on around, there was it's really been crystal clear around the outcomes and what you're trying to achieve. There was a particular project that I worked on, it was a huge transformation project, and it related to administration services. And so I led a group of people, really amazing people, to undertake this ginormous project, and it was about platform changes and technology changes, but it also involved people and the complexity around the whole integration and challenges around change management in general, because that's what's really tricky. So having that clear in mind about the vision, the objective, setting really clear time frames, and having a really good team behind you. And so with that project, we implemented, it was multi-stream, multi-system, multi-organisation, complex integration, and it was bringing in new data, new processes, new procedures, had to cut over all and change the way people did things. But you know what, at the end of that, we achieved a 43% cost reduction. And that was cost huge. $6.5 million per year. And so keeping that in mind, having a really clear plan focus certainly does help when you're thinking through the strategy and thinking through what is it that you're trying to achieve together.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's, keeping everyone really wrangled. Like, I think that's a real art, like because it's such a big, so many transformation programs start and then they fumble along, and I think you've got a really interesting methodology that we'll have to dive into some other time, just to keep this a mini podcast series, because I know we've got plenty to talk about. And so what has been one of your most exciting pieces of work most recently that you can share with us?
Look, I think there was right now I'm working on a integrated platform and really focusing on the components and how it will deliver the new business capability required to support customers' strategy. I think data is also key to any transformation program. the gold nugget of many organisations.
Absolutely, such an asset.
Absolutely, and you know, if you get your data strategy right, it opens up a huge set of opportunities and doors. And that's really rewarding to see.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of organisations underestimate the power of what that can bring. Because once you get that right, I think as you integrate various sources, you bring in new technology, you bring in new platforms, having that core and understanding that well, and that really supports not only the organisation from a integration perspective, but really giving organisations an understanding of their customers and what
Yeah,
that
absolutely. That personalisation piece would be really strong as well, I'd imagine, for Australian Ethical.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And it's for any organisation, Alison.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's such a common theme, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I see that you love data. That's so cool. I think it's such a great, again, a conversation for another time to deep dive into. I'm just going to turn my camera on and off again. Just excuse me. It does that every now and then when we're recording. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, we're back in the room. So in this whole investment space, where do you see the industry heading? Like, there's so much going on. What are your sort of thoughts on where it's moving to?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a huge shift. And if we're talking about IT and how it impacts into the finance industry or in fact, any other industry, I think that industry will focus more on privacy, security, and interconnectivity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, technology will be a focus, and it's about engaging people and designing that total customer experience.
Yeah.
Ethics will remain to be a conversation piece. I think for many organisations, as they bring in new tech things, that it's not about anymore, you know, the customer experience or you know, the UX experience. It's that total experience that people are looking out for. There's definitely, you know, we talked about already that the growing trend about sharing data across business ecosystems and how you do that in a big, secure way, and your security is growing more and more. It's not that it isn't. It hasn't been on people's mind, but it certainly has been exponentially in its growth and the way we have to think about it going forward. It's also, you know, I think thinking about how, you know, allowing service providers to take more control of assets so that we can drive model innovations. Not all organisations can do it themselves, so you've got a partner. You know, having that digital view is going to be really important. And just really, even given the COVID situation that we had last year, being location independent as a strategy is going to be really significant. So I think that, you know, a whole heap of stuff there, and as, you know, organisations shift and they, you know, they want to be providing different things, they're going to have to emphasise on being modular. And that resilience in operation. And you know, with tech, you know, I think there's going to be a real increase around, you know, establishing AI engineering practices that really will bring that value. And you know, if we can automate things, I think organisations are going to really focus on what they automate.
And I hear you're doing a lot of that in your current role, and with your team, you've got such a lean team. So you've got, obviously, you know, the people you've, you know, surrounded yourself with are also equally impressive, and, you know, really excited to see where you take the organisation. It's a very exciting business. Back to International Women's Day, how does your organisation or you empower females to become more financially savvy and independent through the organisation and the messaging that, you know, your group focuses on, and yourself?
Yeah, you know, for us, we've got a very diverse, diversity is a big thing. You know, 50% of the board, senior management team is so 50. When we're recruiting, there's always a clear emphasis on ensuring that, you give everyone that same opportunity. And it doesn't really have to be about females either. It's different diversity. But, you know, for females, and when I talk to younger females, it's not only about being financially savvy, you know, empowering them to grow within an organisation. I always say, believe in your capabilities. You know, there's many times when you can't do things, and really getting the, as an individual, I think if you put that in, really help go a long way. And, you know, I've been really lucky as a female, you know, and it hasn't really been a barrier, really, to, you know, working in finance. If anything, it's gone very well, and I'm just really grateful.
Yeah, fantastic. Really great advice.
Yeah.
You have got a large family. You've got a big role. Your husband, I know him too. He works full time. Like, you've got a lot going on. Can you give us some advice on how you stay so grounded and so like friendly and so positive? Tell me, and your energy, where does it come from? How do you do it?
You know, I take inspiration from my mother. She's not here with me anymore, but she's always taught me to care about everything you do and have, and it impacts others. And when you care, you make a difference in everything. And you know, I apply that in my personal life, my work life. I'm generally quite a positive person, and you know, I think having the right people around you is really key. I think caring about things is one thing, but also having a goal and keeping yourself. It's really important that you surround the right people and the right support. And I've always had that, and I've been very lucky. But, you know, things go wrong, Alison.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Lots of things go wrong, but it's how you manage that, and that makes you when you react to certain things. And if you learn from it, I think that's great. And I think you've got to be really humble about your success, and that kind of helps a lot.
Yeah, it really makes for you to be such a strong, humble, even vulnerable at times leader, right? I think, you know, very authentic. I think that's what, you know, organizations really thrive on, is people like yourself really driving, you know, innovation backed by such solid beliefs and, you know, principles. So it's really awesome to hear. My final question, just to wrap this up, in terms of women wanting to push their careers in technology or young STEM, you know, talent at school, really thinking that tech is only about coding, you know, I don't want to sit behind a computer. What would your advice be to young women stepping into the industry, considering, you know, your path so far?
Yeah, you know, I would say, and I have many people before, put in the hard work and really believe in your capabilities. Have that growth mindset, and really build a good network around you. The thing is, girls are actually really good at STEM, and it gives you a very good way of learning, but then it allows you to also be very creative. And in an industry where mainly it can be dominated by men, it really helps to have that diversity. And so employers are looking for that. So don't think that, you know, doing a STEM degree or going down that path models you up to any particular type of role, but rather it's a really great learning platform, and it allows you to have critical thinking, it allows you to be creative, it allows you a whole bunch of skills that come through, and it also allows you to go across industries, which not always some disciplines do allow that. So I encourage all the people out there who are thinking about it and doing STEM to really think of it as only the beginning.
Yeah, fantastic. You make it sound really exciting and dynamic, and there's just like endless opportunities, which is really amazing. So that will wrap us up today. Now, I'm hoping that, apologize if the internet was a bit patchy on this recording, everyone. So if not, we might call in Kim for a meetup in future months. To connect with Kim or myself, LinkedIn is probably the best way. Maybe send a DM to hear about what she's done, or, you know, if you need any pearls of wisdom or inspiration. So thank you so much. You are an absolute powerhouse. I cannot wait to see you in that CEO role one day. I think that's definitely your pathway. And wish you and your family all the very best. And I look forward to, just watching your evolution and success in years to come.
You're very kind, Alison.
All right.
Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.